This game will give you an adventure, and this game will give you a challenge. What about that game? When you play that game, days will blur together. Regular meals are a thing of the past. Friends will become concerned, and the whole time you'll be unsure if you're even having fun.
One eternity later.
Bitcoin, please go to moon.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. It is a somewhat boring day in the markets, but before you just turn off the tube, listen, you know, and I know that when we do have these sort of sideways patterns, some people might say it's looking like a little bit of a BART. However, these boring sideways movements usually indicate there's going to be a massive move for Bitcoin. It's generally the calm before the storm. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, this does look like a classic ascending triangle. It's almost too obvious, right? We're going to talk about this. Don't get fooled. Don't get caught on the wrong side of the trade. We're going to get into that for sure. I do also want to go into something very specific, which is honestly a catalyst that I personally believe is going to absolutely skyrocket Bitcoin. In fact, it's something that is kind of happening right now. Now, you've heard some people talk about Bitcoin to 100,000, 400,000, even $1 million. I'm going to show you today why that's probably very possible, and I'm also going to tell you why most people, unfortunately, are going to miss the boat, and you definitely do not want to miss out on that. So definitely going to be exciting. I'm telling you guys, we're going to have a massive move within the next 24 to 48 hours. We're going to get into that, into the charts. Also stick around for that big catalyst. And if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. We are almost at 100,000 subscribers. I can't even believe it after, 2.5 years of doing this. I love you guys. This is just the beginning. Get ready for the moon. Yeah, so that being said, if you guys want to enter to win a ledger, drop a comment. We give away one ledger every single Monday, straight into the charts. Okay. This is staring all the traders in the face. We're looking at this saying, this is a classic ascending triangle, right? You could even argue that, it's a bit of a flag, right? You could even argue that this is the flag right here. So you could see right here, we actually did put in a little bit of a triangle. We pumped, and it looks like we're putting in another triangle as well. So the question is, are we looking for a massive breakout to the top of this region? Well, it's almost too easy, isn't it, right? Let's dive in. Let's have a look super quick with the charts before we get into the big news. Now, you'll notice for the third time now, we have been rejected at around the $9,150 level. In fact, if I go back to our chart right here, let me just get rid of these lines super quick. You can actually see, look at this. We've had 1, 2, actually, 4, 3, and we just touched it this morning. 4 times we've touched the top of this, but we are putting in higher low, higher low, higher low, right? So this is definitely looking bullish short term, but we do know Bitcoin could get a little bit tricky if we do continue to get rejected at this point. We would be looking for some support at around the actually $8,700 level, which is the 21 exponential on the weekly, right? Now we are being held down by the 21 exponential on the daily as well. So this is looking like Bitcoin's having some struggle to break above these levels. We are in the blue zone. That is good short term. However, having a look right here at this triangle that we're forming, you will notice that we are having this sort of resistance flip support right here, which we currently touched, and that is sitting at the $8,415 level. However, there is a potential chance that if we do have a breakout, so by the time you're watching this video, if let's say Bitcoin does pump, right? You could see right here, we're going to actually get stomped out at around the $9,400 level. And if we are able to pump above that, we have some heavy, massive resistance at around 9,514. You can see right here, it was acting as huge resistance back in February. And right here, we actually had a lot of support in late February, actually. So early February, it was resistance. Late February, it was support. And we do know that support and resistance does tend to flip. So if we do have a breakout, and if you are going long, be safe out there. Just be careful at the 9.4K to 9.5K level. If we don't, then we do obviously risk falling down potentially to maybe down, like I said, to the 8.7K or lower to the 8.4K level. Still looking not too bad, right? On the overall downtrend, getting hit down by this ultimate resistance that has been the high back in 2017, the high back in June of last year, and currently we're trying to break above it. Now, if we do break out of it and we are able to get above the $9,500 level, well, my goodness, guys, $10,900, $11,500, $1 million. Maybe not $1 million, but it would be really, really good for Bitcoin short term, okay?
$1 million.
Let's not get too excited. Realistically speaking, we are still, there is that possibility of still putting in the lower half of this head and shoulders pattern. Now, keep in mind, we do have this resistance coming down right here. So, listen, even if Bitcoin was to get rejected and we were to come down to some of those really steep levels, I would imagine that right here, we would hit some major resistance and probably look to complete the pattern, and hopefully Bitcoin would get back onto this line. That is the best case scenario. We have talked about the worst case scenarios in the previous videos. Also, for everybody out there wondering with the altcoins, it actually does look like the altcoins could be looking to have a little bit of a pump if, if this does play out, because Bitcoin is currently being held down right here at the bottom of this, resistance that we had. This is the Bitcoin dominance, by the way. That's why you'll notice right around the 66%. That's kind of like the make or break level. We kind of go above 66%, and then you see Bitcoin sort of skyrocket, altcoins lose their value. And sort of when we fall below that, you do notice that the altcoins tend to surge. So there could be a possible little mini altcoin rally that might happen next week. It could happen. Keep your eyes on that. If that is the case, then I would imagine Bitcoin dominance to fall back down to around 60%. Of course, that is if it plays out. So is this the calm before the storm? Well, you let me know. However, I could tell you right now that when Bitcoin does tend to go sideways like this for long periods of time and puts in these sort of wedge patterns, these triangular patterns, well, I'm expecting some volatility. But now we need to get on and talk about the one thing that's going to push Bitcoin to mass adoption to 100K, 400K, 1 million, $10 million. And of course, that is the fact that the U.S. Federal Reserve has started putting aside some of physical cash in order to help reduce the spread of the you-know-what virus. The Fed's regional banks are now holding bills that they received from Asia aside for a minimum of 7 to 10 days. We all know that Bitcoin obviously isn't physical, therefore it can't spread the virus. I'm kidding. I was waiting for somebody to drop a comment and be like, you've got to be kidding me, K-Dub. That's the big news.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker.
No, that's not the big news, but you have to admit, though, cash is pretty freaking dirty, right? So you probably want to just send that Bitcoin back and forth. But anyway, in all sincerity, I do want to lead into this. So you do know that the United States has funneled the equivalent, this is pretty crazy, of half of the entire Bitcoin supply into the economy, as the New York Fed confirms on their website. These so-called repurchase options, or repos, totaled $89 billion on March 5th alone. Thursday's liquidity spree was equal to, check this out, 9.8 million Bitcoin, over half of the total mined supply. Just like that, just in one day. That's incredible, right? So, like you have obviously Anthony Pompliano saying, well, what do banks do? Well, obviously they cut interest rates and they print money. These are the tools of central banks. Well, before we get into it, let's have a look and see how that's doing. Doesn't look like it's working. In fact, I think all it did was basically turn the markets into a giant pump and dump. I mean, look at how the markets were performing before then. Now have a look at it. I mean, this literally looks like some page 5 shitcoin just pumping and dumping, right? That's not working. Well, we already know that Bitcoin has a built-in mechanism for that, right? You can see all the statistics right here. 21 million Bitcoin, 18.2 million, which means there's not very many left, to be completely honest with you. In fact, considering that most people are already holding the Bitcoin and a lot of people are not even in it yet, and there's 44 million millionaires in the world, not even enough for each millionaire to hold one, this is going to be some serious demand once the public wakes up and realizes it. But I digress. Let's continue on to the predictions and why I think it's very possible. Now, you've seen Max Kaiser come out and actually up his prediction. So down here, he was saying, I'm raising my target for Bitcoin. I first made this prediction when it was $1. I said it was going to go to 100,000. I'm raising my official target for the first time in 8 years to $400,000. Lots of people are saying this is crazy. You might even be shaking your head right now going, that's not possible, K-Dub. No way we're going to 400,000. Let me show you why that is possible. Stick with me here. You're gonna appreciate this one. So we do have to get back to our good old buddies, the Fed. This is gonna be a little preamble, okay? So the Federal Reserve, you may know, they did have a Fed rate cut, right? They cut by 0.5%. However, it was totally wasted. Let's be completely honest. Do I have to go back to the charts? Does this look like it worked? No, it doesn't. So anyway, moving on, the stock volatility has continued, and now they're looking to already cut again by another 0.5% in March. It looks like the stock market is already kind of pricing this in, doesn't it? Now, to give you a little bit of a history. You may not know about this, so here we go. In October of 1987, the United States stock market dropped 23% in several hours. This was known as Black Monday. You've probably heard about that. More than 20 other stock markets worldwide also fell by the same amount. So, the morning after Black Monday, the Fed promised to do whatever was needed to help the economy. 10 days later, it cut interest rates by 0.5%, which is what we saw happen, right? The rate cut in combination with the liquidity injection proved to be a successful strategy. Okay, now, the Fed funds rate was 7.25% prior to the 0.5% rate cut in 1987. Yet, that 0.5% rate cut proved to be an effective tool to stimulate the economy, even though it only represented a 7% drop in the cut. Now, compare this to what we just did, okay? So that half a rate cut, which represents an approximate 30% drop in the Fed funds rate, okay, which is, just compare that to what I just said, and it was ineffective, okay? The stock markets fell only 10%. So, comparing that to 1987 when the Fed waited 10 days to do a rate cut despite the stock market crashing into a recession, and it worked, versus what we just did, and it had virtually no effect. You see where I'm going here? Okay, so the important takeaway about this news is that it didn't work. The stock market is already pricing in another 0.5% rate cut in March, and this basically means that stock markets are absolutely going to crash when the Fed meeting comes if rates are not dropped. So this is like fully anticipated. They're waiting for this. If this does not happen, you're talking an imminent financial crisis, possibly even the beginning of a depression. Now, I don't want to be the guy to be the fear monger. That's not me. I don't want a financial economic collapse. I'm not like rooting for it, but realistically speaking, you do have to consider that. In the past, the Fed had enough room to do this without dropping the Fed fund rates below zero, but this time, yeah, it looks like it's not going to be good, guys. It's not going to be good. Negative interest rates are really not good for anyone. So basically, like if you're saving money in a US bank now, you're going to have to pay for the privilege. You're going to have to pay them to put your money in the bank. So say you want to put $100 away and make sure that in 5 years you can pull out $100, you may have to start paying the bank $102 or $104 to guarantee that you'll get your $100 back in 4 to 5 years. That is absurd. That is absolutely crazy, okay? In general, think about this, okay? Corporations and banks are going to get paid to borrow money, making it profitable business just to take out loans, removing the incentive to ever have to pay back the money. So this gives corporations and banks free money, no matter how inefficient they are. Can you imagine? It doesn't matter how bad you do your job. You're still going to be rewarded for it. Negative interest rates are going to lead to zombie economies where corporations and banks get all the money they want and are paid to borrow that money, even if their business sucks, right? So a significant number of people possibly, maybe, could choose to hold Bitcoin instead. Now, I know I know what you're saying. Okay, so everybody's just going to hop into Bitcoin. I'm getting there, guys, but it is a possibility, right? Because, Bitcoin, for example, does have these things that are built in. We don't have to inject liquidity. We don't have to, do these emergency cuts or anything like that. Bitcoin is sound. We have the halving. We have 21 million. It has a distribution rate. It is finite. It is hard. It's a very hard asset. And I know somebody out there yelled gold. What about gold? I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to gold in just a second. But getting back to this super quick, you may notice that, getting charged negative interest rates for saving is not really that appealing to people. Considering the events of the month with the Fed rate cuts, the market pricing in another 0.5% cut by the end of the month, and the fact that the Fed usually has to cut rates 5% during a recession, it seems likely that negative interest rates are coming to the United States. And right now, maybe not. Maybe a lot of people don't really care. Maybe a lot of people are like, well, it's not affecting me. It's not affecting you until you have to consider the fact that this may lead to far worse economic conditions. It could be what really is probably the jumping point for Bitcoin. This could be the potential catalyst for Bitcoin when people realize that I'm going to have to pay you to get the same amount of money back. Oh, wait, and I forgot every single year we have that, secret tax, the 2 to 3% inflation, which makes all of goods and all of prices go up. In fact, in my video 2 days ago, we went into the consumer price index and talked about basically how goods are going through the roof. And even though Nixon promised that $1 is $1, what does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? So that is definitely what I wanted to talk about. Now, you see, let's get back to Max Kaiser, right? So he's saying a $400,000 Bitcoin. How's that possible? Well, I want to go back to this tweet that Bobby Lee did on November 9th. He says gold is about an $8 trillion market cap today. This is in November 9th, so, probably fluctuated a little bit since then. But anyway, point being, that's about 50 times the market cap of Bitcoin. He says, I predict the flippening will happen within 9 years, and Bitcoin will shoot up past $500,000. And with all the money printing that's happening globally, Bitcoin will actually very likely be over $1 million. Now, you have to consider that gold is not scarce. They say it's scarce, but we know it's not scarce. In fact, I just showed you a couple days ago that, there's gold at the bottom of the ocean. That one day we may figure out how to mine. That's going to affect the supply. That's not factored in right now. What about if one day we figure out how to mine asteroids or something like that, right? Well, that sounds hypothetical science fiction, but it could happen. That's also going to affect the cap of gold. Bitcoin, we know what we're getting. Unless somebody wants to hard fork it. Yeah, sure, I'll take my free Bitcoin Cash and sell it for more Bitcoin, right? But my point is, gold is not finite. Also, people say, oh, Bitcoin takes too long, 10 minutes to send around the world. Try sending a bar of gold to your friend across the country or across the world in 10 minutes. Literally, try sending a physical bar of gold across the world in 10 minutes. Not happening. Not happening, guys, right? So that is basically what Bobby Lee says, and he is not alone on this prediction. I'm sorry, I always mess up this guy's name, but Chamath Palihapitiya? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Co-owner of Golden State Warriors. Well, he's saying $1 million by 2037. You have Wences Cesares, CEO of Zappos, saying 1 million by 2017. You have Jeff Pfeffer saying 700,000, Jeremy Liu 500,000, Mark Yusko from Morgan Capital 400,000, Roger Ver thinks it could be $250,000, Anthony Pompliano 100,000 by 2021, Tom Lee 91,000 by the end of this year. Okay, guys, I even thought a $55,000 Bitcoin by December was possible. I'll stand by that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I still think it's possible. And, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to miss out on this. A lot of people are going to miss out on this opportunity. And, unfortunately, they're not going to realize the power of Bitcoin until it's too late. Right? Until we have all of these negative yielding bonds and people have to start paying money to actually keep their money in the bank. And, you can see right here, here's a few reasons why people may not. Number one is they don't understand cryptocurrencies. They don't want to take the time to learn. People don't care to learn about things that aren't immediately of interest to them. They'd rather watch TV and play video games all day, right? Nothing wrong with playing video games, by the way. I play video games as well. But also they might think that they're too difficult to use. Well, they kind of are, right? That's why we see these initiatives with guys like Jack Dorsey making it simpler with, adding functionality to Lightning for merchants so that your mom, your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, everyone can use Bitcoin a lot easier. Other people may think that they have no value or that they're not backed by anything. Well, to that I say, I don't have my Bitcoin Standard book. I have it in my other room today. That just comes down to education, okay? They are backed by something. They're backed by math. There's a saying, don't trust, verify. Not going to get into that today, but I think you know where I'm going. They're against change, right? They don't want to change. People do not like to change. They get very comfortable. They get very set in their ways, right? It's working just fine until it isn't, right? And finally, some people just straight up think that they missed the boat. They honestly think that it's too late. They see the logarithmic chart of Bitcoin and they say, well, all the money was made. There's no chance, right? Guys, we are very, very early. Just considering the fact, comparing Bitcoin to the market cap of gold, knowing that there's a 50x potential alone, also knowing that really, let's be real, if Bitcoin fails, not saying that all of the altcoins will fail, but it would be detrimental to the space. Bitcoin is the household name. Bitcoin is what everybody's rooting for. Yes, I'm a fan of things like Ethereum and Chainlink, decentralized, it's all that stuff, right? But ultimately, Bitcoin is the big daddy. It does move the markets. Look, when Bitcoin takes a dump, does your altcoin not also get hit? It might not get hit in the Bitcoin comparative, but your dollar value goes down, right? Right? It does. Okay. You can't deny that. So I just really wanted to just bring that to everybody's. I know most of you already know this, but maybe share this video with a friend, let them know what's up. Also, speaking about Lightning Network and Jack Dorsey, there was a little bit of a scare. Last week, you had Wall Street investor Elliott Management bought $1 billion worth of Twitter stock, and now there's some speculation that they're basically looking to get rid of Jack Dorsey as the CEO, right? Well, here's the flip side of it. There could be some positive to that. I don't want to lose Jack as the CEO of Twitter, but we might just gain him as the CEO of Bitcoin. Hypothetically speaking, right? Realistically, it would give him more time to focus on Bitcoin endeavors, focus on building out the Square Cash app and helping to bring Bitcoin adoption to the world. I mean, he's already done a really great job with Twitter, right? Social media. He's helped connect the world that way. Maybe now it's time for him to move into another venture. And, a guy like this, this is the kind of guy you want on your team. He obviously has a lot of money. He has a lot of influence, okay? So, yeah, I mean, it's not all bad. A lot of people are freaking out about this. I don't think it's as bad as it could be. And on that, I do want to end on just two quick updates. Number one, I wanted to talk about, a lot of people have been talking about Chainlink lately. They've also had another really great quarterly update. You can see integrations with Polkadot, Realty, Chili's, DMM, collabs with Ethereum Classic Labs and Engrave. And I know we haven't talked about it too much recently, but a while ago we were discussing probably how important these oracles are going to be. I mean, the thing is smart contracts really aren't that smart, right? They do need that input. I mean, how does a smart house or a smart economy know to react to external situations, right? A smart contract, it's only as smart as the person that programmed it, but with these oracles, it'll actually help to feed the data. So congratulations, by the way, to everybody that's been holding holding Chainlink. And I just want to end on this. So we all know what happened with IOTA, right? So it says, after the recent attack on IOTA's Trinity wallet, David Sanstabo, he is the founder, says that he will spend a significant portion of his crypto compensating the losses to the victim of the hacks, which the estimated loss is around $2.3 million. So this is a really noble act on his part. I do have to say kudos. Thank you for doing this. However, kind of reminds me a lot of, what these guys are kind of trying to do and what they're trying to do to get this, injection. Just kind of like, oopsies, here you go. The oops payment. So I don't know. Let me know. Maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe IOTA's the next best thing since sliced bread, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, but that's not really the ethos that you really want for something like that. But anyway, I don't want to end on a bad note. Let's check on Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? Just hanging out, guys. I definitely think it's going to be a pretty exciting 24 to 48 hours. Let me know what you guys think about everything we went over in today's video. Is it absolutely crazy? Is it a pie in the sky pipe dream, or is it actually a reality? And you do think that eventually the world will wake up to Bitcoin and crypto? I think with all the recent news that we've seen, between India and South Korea and Germany and France, I think things are looking to the up and up, but let me know what you think about that. That being said, I do love you guys. It is the weekend. Hope you're enjoying your day. That's it. I'm done. That's it. I rambled on enough today. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.